What's up, all you minties? This is the Uncanny Omar from Near Mint Condition, and join me today for an advanced look at some trade paperbacks and an oversized hardcover coming out from Marvel this week. So, let's get started. And welcome back, everybody. Before getting started, a huge thank you to David Gabriel and the fine folks at Marvel for sending us advanced copies of these books. These collections are due out in the direct market on March 17th, and then a couple of weeks later in the book market. So we have some trades, a graphic novel format, and an OHC. So let's go ahead and get started with my boy, Ultraman. So here we have The Rise of Ultraman. This is a trade paperback that collects the 5-issue miniseries, and there is going to be a second miniseries. I think it just started, if I'm not mistaken, so that's always good to see. This is the one that I got to announce a couple of months ago, or last year sometime. It seems like a lifetime ago. 2020, huh? But this is the one that's written by Kyle Higgins and Matt Groom, and then you have Francesco Mana on art. And this is a new take on Ultraman. You don't need to have read anything beforehand. You don't need to know anything about the character or who he is, other than the fact that the kaiju are giant monsters that come and invade Earth. This takes place in 2020, and it introduces us to the character of Shin Hayata and Kiki Fuji, who have spent half of their lives trying to find out what is going on with the kaiju and what they are, where they come from, and of course defending the Earth against this kaiju attacks. So they are part of the United Science Patrol. So this, like I said, is a take on the classic story of Ultraman. I grew up a big fan of that series when I grew up, when I was in Peru, but my favorite has always been Ultra 7. That was my jam. So this is a fresh take on that character. So really quick, what is Ultraman? I mean, based on the cover, this beautiful cover by Alex Ross, by the way, there's not really much, because I say kaiju are giant monsters, so what is the character of Ultraman? Well, he's this cosmic being that comes and inhabits a human host in order to fight this kaiju. Now, the human host can grow and attack these giant monsters with special powers. However, he's very limited to how much time he can spend in this body. So that's practically it. It's a giant, huge fight of giant monsters, of giant super beings against giant monsters. And then in the middle of all this is caught the United Science Patrol trying to help out. But most of the time, they're just getting in the way. So this book here retails for $17.99 and has 144 pages. Like I said, signature move right there. I don't know if any of you have played the video games or have ever watched the live action show from the 70s, but that's a signature move right there. 144 pages, and like I said, it collects all 5 issues. I always lose track of where I am. Let's look in the back here for some extras. So in the back, they do collect the backup stories from the comic book. I'm glad they have that in here. This shows kind of like what happened in the past. I love the fact that it's in black and white, very retro. You also have the quick little comic strips, but I can't show them because they spoil something towards the end. And then you have the things to come. So I guess this is setting up... Oh, that's the classic outfit right there from Ultraman. But this sets up the next series. There's some of the little comic strips. And then, of course, the variant covers over here. So there's quite a few. I think I got to show some of these off when I was announcing this trade paperback. I don't think I... Oh, that's Oliver Copiel. Arthur Adams. And of course you have to have Arthur Adams. He's a huge fan of kaiju. And this is what I mean by kaiju, right? Giant monsters. That is a badass cover. Oh, there's a little history here about the creator of Ultraman. So if you're not familiar with the character, like I said, you don't need to have read anything, and these are some of the variant of covers of the live action. And what is the... Okay, there's an Ultraman series? I didn't even know about that. Another 5-issue limited series collected in trade paperback format. This is Juggernaut. This retails for $15.99. Now, this is written by one of my favorite comic book creators, Fabian Nicieza. It's drawn by Ron Garney, and Matt Milla is the colorist on this book. So, when does this take place? So I read all this because I'm a big fan of Kane Marco, and I like to know the whereabouts of my favorite characters. You know, a lot of people have this impression of him that he's just a villain, a one-dimensional villain that likes to knock down stuff and fight Spider-Man and the X-Men from time to time, knock down buildings. There's a lot more to the character than that, and I know a lot of writers have touched upon that, not just Fabian Nicieza. This takes place after the events of X-Men 21, Uncanny X-Men 21 by Matthew Rosenberg, where, and it's a little bit of a spoiler, but it doesn't matter because you have to know how all of this starts. It's where he gets his powers taken away by magic. I'll let you find out how if you read those books. But he's found later on trying to go on a journey of self-discovery and trying to see if he's still the host for the Cyttorak. And the Cyttorak's what gives him his powers. Because there's always this misconception with the Juggernaut that he's a mutant, but he's not. He's one of these X-Men villains, or was, that isn't a mutant. He's given his powers because of this gem that he found, and that's how he came to be. Now he's on the, like I said, a path of self-discovery and seeing if he's still worthy of the Cyttorak. And so it goes back with a flashback, and it comes to the present. He meets this girl here named D-Cell, which I realize is a ridiculous name, but he has a soft spot in his heart for her. Here he is. These are what the flashbacks look like. Now, as far as the artwork by Garney, it's a little bit different than what I'm used to. I love the fact that he's always changing his style. Granted, it still looks the same when it's bare bones, but it's still different than his run on Captain America or even his Daredevil run. It's a little more sketchier, a little rougher around the edges. I think that's the best way I can describe it. Kind of looks a little bit like Dan Panosian in here. Now, I really enjoy this series. Like I said, I had to read these. Actually, I read most of these because I had time this week because I'm doing my big X-Men read-through. Thanks to our patrons for voting for X-Men again. But this one was just really fun. I wanted to find out what happened to Kane Marco. Was he invited to Krakoa? But how can he be invited to Krakoa if he's not a mutant? And how he's going to deal with that? And then the very end of this gives me a lot of hope for the future. I don't know what it means, but he's gathering his own little team, right? Like I don't know what that means. Hopefully, fingers crossed, Thunderbolts, Fabian Nicieza. Just saying. Anyway, let's look in the back for extras. So you have one extra back here. This is a variant by Superlog. But the other variants are in between the issues. You have the variant edition by Ron Garney of issue number 1, and then you have the standard cover of issue number 3. Now, this book has 112 pages, and if you're a fan of the Juggernaut or just fan of the X-Men, this is a good one. I really enjoyed this. It's Fabian Nicieza. I knew I was going to enjoy it before I even picked it up. So here we have Hawkeye. This is all written by Kelly Thompson. Stefano Raffaele does the artwork towards the beginning. Then you have Leonardo Romero. And then Stefano Caselli doing the Avengers West Coast. So like I mentioned, continuing the run of Hawkeye by Kelly Thompson. I almost called her Kate Bishop. Now this collects Hawkeye 13 through 16. The Generations Hawkeye, which is what you're seeing here. And then West Coast Avengers, which was written by Kelly Thompson, 1 through 4, the first 4 issues of that 2018 series. So, I really enjoyed her take. Like, this is a book that I wish was collected in omnibus format, because I really like Kelly Thompson's run on Hawkeye. I know people love Matt Fraction's run on Hawkeye, and it is good, but I really enjoyed what she did with Kate Bishop and her relationship with Clint Barton. And then all these people that she meets throughout. I really like her supporting cast. As a matter of fact, most of her supporting cast shows up in the pages of the West Coast Avengers. But I wasn't a fan of this series. I don't know what it was about it. This is the only Kelly Thompson book that I remember not really digging. And I don't know what it was. Maybe it was, you've got the character, let me see. You have Gwenpool, you have the character of Quentin Quire, you've got Fuse, and you've got America Chavez, and of course Clint Barton. Those are your main cast. But something just didn't click with me in this series. I don't know what it was. But I did like the idea of this character right here of Brodok, who's ridiculous and over the top. It's a take, of course, on MODOK. But it's his newer body. It's his super hot body that he built for himself. Now, the retail of this is $12.99. And like I said, because it's a smaller size. And it has 224 pages. the variants are usually collected in between the issues. But there is something in the back, I think. I lied! There's nothing in the back. All the variants literally are collected in between each of the issues and chapter breaks. So, that's Hawkeye. Go West. And for all you spine watchers out there, you can pause the video here or put me on mute, but this is what all the spines look like. There you go. And here we have a series that I really didn't have an opinion on at first. I remember when I got to announce this earlier this month, I said it was coming out this month. This is Iron Man, the new series by Christopher Cantwell. I knew nothing about Christopher Cantwell until I read Doom. And damn, was that series awesome. Well, I really enjoyed it. I thought it was a lot of fun. It was a great take on the character. And the dude was riding a bear. So when I started reading this, I was like, wait, I recognize Christopher Cantwell. Okay, let's see. So this takes place after the events of this Iron Man 2020 event, which was all written by Dan Slott and then Christos Gage. But this is called Iron Man Big Iron. It is written by Christopher Cantwell, and it is drawn by Cafu with with colors by Frank Diamarta, who I think had done colors before for Adi Granov, and that's what Cafu's artwork reminds me of, is Adi Granov. Look at this amazing, beautiful shot right here of just Iron Man punching the crap out of Terrax. So that's kind of where this all starts off. He's fighting Terrax, he takes him out in space, crashes a satellite, and just, tweets, I assume this is Twitter or his own social platform, that he got rid of Terrax, and then people are just dogging on him, saying, yeah, but you crashed the internet, you jerk. You took out a satellite that provided us with internet. So he makes an announcement that he's done with technology. He's done. He's out. He's wiping his hands clean of technology. He's going to go back to the basics of just being a dude inside of an iron armor. So even then, people are still dogging on him through this, like I said, social media platform. There's a quick little breakup right there. He does a little Fast and the Furious thing here, getting a car, goes racing, which I guess it's a little breakdown of the character and getting to know Tony more than, because he's made everything for years about the technology and just how amazing this technology can be. This goes back to the basics, and I get this scene. It just kind of felt really weird. But anyway, not a review of the book. There is a returning character here. So, a couple of things. Number one, I like the idea of bringing back characters that I haven't seen for a long time, such as the character of Patsy Walker, Hellcat. I think I can't even remember the last time I saw her. It's been a couple of years, but it's nice to see her return. You also have returning villains like the Unicorn, the Controller, and the Blizzard. But it felt so weird and random at first because they're all worshiping or they're under the mind control of somebody that's a deity, that's a god to them. You don't know exactly what's going on. But the revelation of who it is, I thought was really cool. And it all starts making sense about why, bring back these characters from the past. Why give Tony Stark the ability to get rid of all these, the technology, to just make him who he used to be the guy with the brain that's just inside of a suit. So to have this returning character, I thought was really cool. And no, it's not the Melter. I'm talking about another character that's kind of a big bad in the eyes of the Avengers. But that's what this collects just the first 5 issues of the series. It does end on a cliffhanger. It doesn't wrap up that first story arc. So I'm really excited to see where this goes. Like I said, and by the way, if you're expecting something fun and just a little quirkier like Doom with a taste of reality, not here. Not at all. Actually, I think through the Twitter feed, there were a couple of moments that I was like, I don't know if I'm digging this or not. But then when he just deletes his Twitter, his social media, I'm sorry, I was like, okay, I think I see where this is going. But there's less humor like that. I mean, it's still Tony Stark, right? He's a bit of a smartass, but it's not like what I was expecting in Doctor Doom. This is a lot more serious, if that makes any sense. I mean, we're not talking about a guy inside of an iron armor fighting intergalactic beings like Terrax. But anyway, this book retails for $15.99, and like I said, collects the first 5 issues of this new ongoing series that kicked off in 2020. Let's look in the back here, because there are several extras. It has 128 pages, and here are the extras. We have these beautiful variant covers. Mark Brooks right there. And that's Dustin Weaver. I really thought that was Nick Bradshaw at first when I saw that. I've never... That's so ridiculous. The Iron Man thing. It's a nice poster. Hey, Rick Leonardi. Always love seeing his artwork. Peach Momoko. And wow, Frank Cho. Very nice. And yes, this is the other book that Cantwell wrote. And I wasn't familiar with his work up until I read that Doctor Doom. So it gives me high hopes for this and where this is going. All right. Dawn of X, Volume 14. Continuing this great anthology. I love the way that these are collected. So for those of you wondering, because the solicits are always wrong, on Diamond's page and on the Book Market's page, here we have Empire X-Men 3 through 4, which wraps up that story arc. X-Men 11, Wolverine number 4, and X-Factor number 2. Now you'll notice something here. It's parental advisory. Now that is mainly, I want to say, due to the Wolverine book, if I remember correctly. So he kicks off with, let's see, it should kick off with Empire. Kicks off with Empire, wrapping up that story arc. As a matter of fact, X-Men 11 has tie-ins to Empire. So, you have old ladies here, you have the Katati, so you have plants versus zombies from Genosha. You have there is a cool returning character through these pages that really surprised me. And I'm not talking about Scarlet Witch at all. I'm talking about a character that showed up in the pages of Empire. I'll let you find out who that is. But that story wraps up, and then tying up the loose ends with the Summoner and all these characters here is X-Men 11. Now, X-Men 12 is collected in the X of Swords or 10 of Swords. And I'm not sure if it's going to be collected in the Dawn of X anthology, because Dawn of X anthology wraps up with volume 16. So we have 2 more volumes, and then that all leads into the X of Swords, and then we have Reign of X. Now, one of the biggest questions I've been getting, and I honestly don't know, is X of Swords going to be part of the Dawn of X anthology? And I say I don't know, but I'm almost 100% sure. I don't think it is. I think it's going to be released like House and Powers of X in trade paperback format, and then that's going to be your way of collecting it in trade paperback format. It will not be part of the Dawn of X anthologies. As a matter of fact, I think the only book that it will double dip in, if X-Men 12 is collected in this format, would just be X-Men 12. And then after that comes Reign of X. We already have a solicitation. I got to announce that earlier this month. Or no, it was last month. Reign of X Volume 1 comes out, I think in July, if I'm not mistaken. June or July. Here's Wolverine. Really, really enjoyed this guy's artwork. What is his name? Bogdanovic, I think? No, Bogdanovic. That was close, yeah. Victor Bogdanovic. Okay. Very reminiscent of Greg Capullo's artwork. That's why I really enjoy it. And I love artists that start off with a style that I'm familiar with, because I love seeing people evolve, artists evolve. That's one of my favorite things about being a comic book reader throughout decades, is looking at some of these people that started off drawing like, I don't know, Rob Liefeld or Jim Lee, and then just building their own style. And I'm looking at you, Travis Chares. That guy was such a huge, what we used to call back in the 90s, Jim Lee ripoff, but his style just became something completely beautiful. I mean, there's several artists that started off like that, like Ed Benes, Joe Bennett, even Michael Turner to an extent when he was drawing Witchblade, and there was another series he did before Witchblade. I can't remember what it was. A Cyberforce spinoff. But anyway, he had a very Mark Silvestri looking style. Where the hell was I? I'm talking about Dawn of X. Yeah, sorry. Sometimes I get caught in this loop. But yes, here's Wolverine. Oh, I was talking about his art. Yeah, of course. That actually made sense. You have Omega Red being brutal. I really, really enjoyed X Factor. Mainly, I don't like the villain that shows up in X Factor. He's one of my least popular or my least favorite villains from the X lore. But I like Leah Williams' portrayal of Polaris. Really like the way that she gives her voice. Everyone else is okay. Like Dick Cannis, he's okay. Actually, if it wasn't for Tom Taylor's all-new Wolverine, I would not be a fan of this guy at all. I did not like him up until that run. but I think her Polaris is freaking awesome, and so is North Star's pretty good too. Looking in the back here for some extras. Whoa, hey now? I thought that was Wills Portacio, but it is Salvador La Roca. It's a variant. It's an Adam Coover variant. Patrick Gleason. Ooh, I'd love to see him draw Wolverine. Although I like this guy, Victor Bogdanovic, but I'd like to see Patrick Gleason take on Wolverine too. And these are the Days of Future Past variants. And this book, by the way, has 160 pages. Now, I'm not going to talk much about this. If you want to know more about the Daredevil by Chip Zdarsky hardcover, check out the Astonishing Melanie's review. She really did a great job. I'm just mainly going to talk about the build of this book. Look at it under the dust jacket. You have this beautiful image of Matt, Daredevil. And let's look a little bit at the artwork in here by Marco Chiquetto, is what I was told how to pronounce it. Marco Chiquetto. So thank you so much for the people that corrected me and my wife, because I'm the one that told her that I thought it was Chiquetto. And it is also drawn by Lalit Kumar Sharma. All of this written by Chip Zdarsky. And yep, I'm going to refrain from talking about it because I'm not going to do a good job like my wife did. My wife did an amazing job talking about this book. This book retails for $34.99 and has 232 pages. So I'm here just to tell you the basics. And something has happened in Matt's past that he finds himself again questioning not just his beliefs but also the role of Daredevil. There are returning characters, there's questions of morality and faith, and it's just a beautiful story. I can't wait for people to read it and let me know what they think. I love seeing Chip Zdarsky's name again in an oversized hardcover format, like the case of The Invaders, and I want to see more and more of his work collected in this format. Now, for those people that I'm sure always ask me, is there going to be an omnibus of this? I have no idea. I mean, odds are probably, yeah, but it's going to be a while. I mean, we just got volume 1 of this. We don't have any word of volume 2. So it might be a while if you're waiting on an omnibus. And my rule is, I don't know if anybody has been watching me for a while. For those of you that don't know, my rule was the 3-year wait. Superior Spider-Man is my best example. I waited 3 years after those oversized hardcovers were out, and I said, nope, I guess Marvel's not going to do an omnibus, so I'm going to go and buy those oversized hardcovers. Look at this freaking artwork. Yes, the Punisher shows up. By Marco Chiquetto. Dang, that is so awesome. I love that his art is oversized. Another reason. Let's look in the back here. So we're going to be looking at some variants. They'll have a frame around them. You have Alex Maleev, Gabriel Delotto, Scotty Young, Mateo Scalera. I believe that's John Romita Jr. John Romita Jr. Oh my gosh, this is all John Romita Jr. except for that one right there by Joe Quesada. Lee Garbett. Nice Carnage. Dave Johnson. And then Junying Yoon, I think. Probably not. But this is all sewn binding. For those of you wondering about the build of the book. I feel ridiculous even holding this up, but I guess it doesn't really have an eye. I mean, we're looking at 232 pages. You're not going to need much of one as it lays over really nice. But this is Daredevil by Chip Zdarsky, and that, as they say, is that. If you're interested in any of these books, don't forget to check out our sponsor, CheapGraphicNovels.com, your online source for collected editions up to 50% off retail price. Cheap Graphic Novels prides itself on excellent packaging, so your stuff gets to you in excellent condition, and they have amazing customer service. Check out their bargain deals for up to 90% off cover price. And for all you Minties that are watching, if you're a first-time customer, don't forget to mention that Near Mint Condition sent you their way for a promotional credit on free shipping on your next order. Now, this is only for U.S. customers. CheapGraphicNovels.com, your source for the hottest books with deep discounts, customer service, and excellent shipping that will keep you coming back for more. And that was the content and page count of each of these collections. Let me know in the comments down below which ones you're checking out. Are you going to check out the Chip Zdarsky Daredevil? And don't forget to check out the Astonishing Melanie's review of that to kind of give you an idea of what exactly is happening in that book. For me, I was a big fan of Juggernaut. That was an awesome book and a good start to Iron Man. Ultraman always has a special place in my heart. And the anthology of Dawn of X to me has been one of the best collections that Marvel has released as far as X-Men. Of course, the graphic novel line geared more towards kids, but, you know, adults have read this stuff too. Let me know if you've read the Kelly Thompson run on Hawkeye. Again, this was the Uncanny Omar. Thank you all so much for watching. Don't forget to hit that like, subscribe button. Thank you again to our patrons for making videos like this possible. More importantly, everybody, stay healthy, stay safe. Much love.